The wind whipped across my face like a slap I never saw coming as I veered off the main trail, my skis slicing through untouched powder that glittered under the Colorado sun. One second I was laughing with the group, the next I was alone, heart pounding, realizing I had taken the wrong fork and the lift ahead was the old service line that barely anyone used anymore. I tried to stop, but momentum carried me forward until the chair scooped me up, locking me in place high above the jagged pines. Then the cables groaned, the lift jerked to a sudden halt, and the world went eerily silent except for the creak of metal swaying in the breeze. I gripped the safety bar, breath fogging in the crisp air, and that's when I noticed him sitting right beside me on the same bench seat, knees almost touching mine. Beckett, my best friend since freshman year at the University of Colorado, the guy whose smile had been quietly breaking my heart for 4 straight years. Beckett turned his head slowly, blue eyes widening in surprise under the brim of his black beanie. The same one I'd bought him 2 Christmases ago because the color matched the sky right now. "Noah? What the hell, man? I thought you were sticking with the blue run." His voice was calm at first, that easy Midwestern drawl he never lost even after moving west. But I caught the edge of worry creeping in as he glanced down at the 200-foot drop below us. The resort had warned about high winds closing some lifts, but we'd all brushed it off, too excited for our annual guys' trip. Now here we were, dangling like bait on a frozen line, the main lodge a distant speck of smoke and laughter we couldn't reach. I forced a laugh that sounded fake even to me. Guess I zigged when I should have zagged. Classic me, right? My palms were slick inside my gloves. Being this close to him for who knew how long was my worst nightmare and my secret dream rolled into one. Beckett had no idea that every late-night talk we'd had about his failed relationships with girls, every shoulder bump during hockey games, every shared tent on camping trips had been slowly carving me open. I was 26, successful in my Denver marketing job, out to my close friends but not my conservative parents back in California, and yet admitting what I felt for the straight guy who once called me his brother? Impossible. The lift swayed again, and I gripped harder, trying not to stare at the way his jaw tightened, the stubble catching the sunlight, the same jaw I traced in my mind 1,000 times. He shifted, our shoulders brushing, and the contact sent electricity straight through my coat. They'll notice we're missing soon. Probably just a mechanical glitch. Remember that time in Tahoe when the power went out for 20 minutes? We survived that. Beckett always did this, turning panic into stories, like he could talk the universe into calming down. But his knee bounced once, betraying him. I knew him too well. We'd been through breakups, job losses, even the death of his mom 2 years ago when I held him in my apartment while he cried without shame. I had swallowed every urge to kiss his forehead then, telling myself friendship was enough. Below us the snow sparkled mockingly, empty runs winding between evergreens. No other skiers in sight on this forgotten lift. My phone had 0 bars up here. The cold was already biting deeper than expected for March, and the forecast had mentioned a possible afternoon storm rolling in from the peaks. "Yeah, we survived Tahoe," I muttered, but my mind was elsewhere, flashing back to the night last summer when Beckett had shown up at my door after another bad date, drunk and rambling about how he wished he could just find someone who really got him. I had almost said it then, almost told him I was that someone, but I chickened out and made coffee instead. Now the words were lodged in my throat like ice. The lift creaked louder, settling into an uncomfortable stillness. Beckett exhaled a white cloud. "You good, man? You look like you're about to jump." He nudged my arm, the way he always did, casual, brotherly, and it nearly undid me. I nodded too quickly. Just cold. And pissed at myself for screwing up the route. But inside, the real storm was raging. How long could I keep pretending when being trapped with him like this forced every buried feeling to the surface? The sun was still bright, the sky impossibly blue, yet everything felt like it was tilting toward something I wasn't ready to face. Little did I know this wrong turn was only the beginning, and by the time rescue came, nothing between us would ever be the same again. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, though my watch said only 20 had passed. Beckett pulled a protein bar from his jacket pocket and broke it in half without asking. handing me the bigger piece like he always did. Here, keep your energy up. We might be here a while. His fingers brushed mine, and I pulled back a fraction too fast, pretending to adjust my goggles. He noticed, of course he did. Beckett noticed everything about everyone. You sure you're okay? You've been quiet since we left the lodge this morning. Is it the job thing again? Or your parents still giving you grief about not visiting? I chewed slowly, buying time. The truth was my parents had been pressuring me harder than ever to settle down with a nice girl. Their words laced with the same subtle homophobia they'd shown when my cousin came out last year. But that wasn't what had me quiet. It was the way Beckett had hugged me goodbye at the airport 3 days ago. Longer than necessary, his cologne still lingering on my coat. Parents are parents, I said finally, staring at the distant peak of Long's Peak. They'll never get it. He nodded, understanding more than he knew. Beckett's own family in Nebraska was the picture of small-town acceptance on the surface. But I remembered how his dad had reacted when Beckett dropped out of pre-med to become a graphic designer. Disappointment ran deep in both our bloodlines. The lift rocked gently as a gust hit us. Beckett leaned forward, scanning the empty slope below. Hey, remember freshman year? That stupid party at the frat house where we both got locked out on the roof. His laugh was warm, pulling me back to safer ground. We had sat there for hours talking about everything and nothing, the stars above Boulder brighter than I'd ever seen. That was the night I realized my feelings for him weren't going away. He had confessed he was scared of never measuring up, and I had wanted so badly to tell him he already was everything to me. Instead, I'd clapped him on the back and said, "You got this, bro." Now, suspended in the sky, those old words tasted like regret. "Yeah, I remember," I said. "You told me you hated beer but drank it anyway to fit in." Beckett turned fully toward me, his expression softening in that way that always made my chest ache. "And you told me it was okay to be different. Man, I don't know what I would have done without you that year." The sincerity in his voice cracked something inside me. I looked away, focusing on the way the sun glinted off the snow. "You would have been fine. You always are." Silence settled again, heavier this time. Then he asked the question that shifted everything. "Noah, be straight with me. Did I do something? You've been pulling away since Christmas. If it's about me bringing Sarah on that double date, I'm sorry. She was a disaster anyway. Sarah. The latest in a string of women who never lasted because none of them were right for him, and deep down I knew why. Or at least I hoped. My pulse hammered. This was my opening, dangling like the cables above us, but the fear of losing him clamped my mouth shut. "It's not you," I lied. "Just life stuff." But Beckett wasn't buying it. He reached over and grabbed my wrist, gentle but firm. "We don't lie to each other. Not after everything." His touch burned through the fabric, and for the first time in years I felt the walls I'd built start to tremble. Below, dark clouds were gathering over the ridge, the storm the resort warned about now barreling in faster than expected. The temperature dropped another notch, and our breaths came in visible puffs. I swallowed hard, the protein bar suddenly tasteless. The wrong turn had forced us here, but the real trap was the truth I'd been carrying since that rooftop night, and it was about to break free whether I was ready or not. The first snowflakes began to swirl around us like tiny warnings as the wind picked up, turning the bright afternoon into something darker. Beckett zipped his jacket higher, but his eyes stayed locked on mine, waiting. I could feel the old memories rushing back, sharper now because we had nowhere to run. College had been our golden time. Late study sessions in the library where his foot would accidentally rest against mine under the table. Weekend road trips to Rocky Mountain National Park where we shared one sleeping bag when the tent leaked. And that one drunken New Year's Eve when his arm had slipped around my waist on the dance floor and neither of us pulled away for a full song. I had replayed that moment 1,000 times, convincing myself it meant nothing to him. "You remember New Year's sophomore year?" I blurted before I could stop myself. The words hung between us, fragile as the falling snow. Beckett's eyebrows drew together, then understanding dawned. "The party at the warehouse? Yeah, we danced. You were the only one who didn't make it weird when I got too close. He smiled faintly, but there was something new in his eyes, a flicker I couldn't read. I thought about that night a lot actually. Felt safe. Different. Safe. The word twisted in my gut. Safe wasn't what I had felt. I had felt alive for the first time. The lift groaned again as a stronger gust rocked us, and I grabbed the bar instinctively. Beckett did the same, our hands ending up inches apart. Noah, talk to me. Whatever it is, we've handled worse. Remember when my mom got sick and you drove me home every weekend? You were my rock. His voice cracked just a little, the same crack I'd heard the night she passed. I had held him then, arms around his shaking shoulders, breathing in the scent of his shampoo while he fell apart. I had whispered it was going to be okay, all the while dying inside because I wanted to be more than his rock. I wanted to be his everything. The snow thickened, sticking to our lashes. Beck. The confession hovered, but fear won again. Instead, I deflected. I saw you with Sarah at Christmas. You looked happy. I didn't want to mess that up. It was half true. He had looked happy, and it had gutted me. Beckett shook his head, snow catching in his dark hair. Sarah was a distraction. They all are. I keep thinking there's something missing, like I'm waiting for someone who actually sees me. His gaze held mine longer than it should have, and my heart slammed against my ribs. Did he know? Had he always known? A sudden crackle from the emergency speaker above us startled us both. Attention passengers on Lift 17. We're experiencing technical difficulties due to the incoming storm. Stay seated and remain calm. Rescue teams are en route. ETA 40 minutes. 40 minutes. It might as well have been forever. Beckett let out a low whistle. Guess we're really stuck now. He scooted a fraction closer for warmth, our thighs pressing together. The contact was innocent, yet it ignited every suppressed desire I'd buried under layers of friendship. I closed my eyes, feeling the heat of him through our gear, and wondered how much longer I could keep pretending this was enough. The storm hit full force 20 minutes later, turning the air into a white blur that swallowed the mountainside. Visibility dropped to nothing, the wind howling around the cable car like it wanted to tear us loose. Beckett and I huddled as close as the seat allowed, shoulders touching, sharing body heat the only way we could. This is insane, he muttered, teeth chattering slightly. If we get out of this, I'm buying you new skis for screwing up the route. His attempt at humor fell flat, but I appreciated it. That was Beckett, always trying to lighten the load even when his own was crushing him. I couldn't hold it in anymore. The cold, the fear, the years of silence, it all cracked open. Beck, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have said a long time ago. My voice was barely above the wind, but he heard. He turned, face inches from mine, snowflakes melting on his cheeks. Whatever it is, say it. I'm right here. The sincerity in his eyes gave me courage I never thought I had. I'm in love with you. Have been since that rooftop party freshman year. I've watched you date all those girls and told myself it didn't matter, that being your best friend was enough. But it's not. It's killing me, and I'm sorry if this ruins everything, but I can't keep pretending. The words spilled out raw and ugly and true. Beckett stared at me for what felt like eternity, the only sound the creak of the lift and the storm raging around us. Then something shifted in his expression. Not horror, not disgust, but relief, like a dam breaking. Noah, his gloved hand found mine on the bar, gripping tight. I've been waiting for you to say that. God, I thought I was crazy. All those times I almost told you, but I was terrified you'd pull away. I dated those girls trying to convince myself I wasn't feeling what I was feeling for you. But it's always been you. Since that damn dance floor. Since you held me after Mom died. It's you. The confession hit me like the wind, knocking the breath from my lungs. Tears stung my eyes, freezing instantly on my lashes. You're serious? I whispered. He nodded, squeezing my hand harder. Dead serious. I'm scared as hell, my family won't understand, your parents definitely won't, but I'm done hiding. This storm, this stupid lift, it's like the universe finally forced us to stop running. We sat there, hands linked, the world disappearing in white, and for the first time the fear felt smaller than the truth between us. The rescue team's voices crackled faintly in the distance, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. I had taken the wrong turn, but I had finally found the right path, straight to the man I had loved in silence for so long. Rescue arrived in a blur of ropes and harnesses, 2 park rangers in orange suits winching us down through the driving snow. Beckett never let go of my hand the entire way to the ground, even when the medic asked if we were injured. "We're good," he said, voice steady, eyes never leaving mine. Back at the lodge, our friends swarmed us with questions and hot chocolate, but we barely heard them. The storm had closed the resort for the night, stranding everyone, giving us the perfect excuse to slip away to my rented cabin at the base of the mountain. Inside, with the fire crackling and snow tapping the windows, we talked for hours. Beckett told me about the nights he lay awake wondering why no woman ever felt right, how my laugh was the only sound that calmed his anxiety, how he had almost kissed me that New Year's Eve but chickened out. I shared the guilt I carried hiding my sexuality from my family, the fear that loving him would cost me everything. We laughed through tears, cried through laughter, and when the conversation finally quieted, he cupped my face with both hands and kissed me. It was soft at first, hesitant, then deep and certain, years of unspoken want pouring out in one perfect moment. No rush, no pressure, just us finally coming home to each other. The next morning the sun broke through, melting the fresh powder into diamonds across the slopes. Our friends noticed the change immediately, the way we stood closer, the easy touches that weren't just friendly anymore. Some were surprised, a couple asked questions, but no one turned away. That afternoon we skied the same trails again, this time together on purpose, and when we reached the top of the main lift, Beckett pulled me aside. "No more wrong turns," he said, grinning. "From here on, we choose the path together." I kissed him right there in the bright sunlight, not caring who saw, feeling freer than I ever had in my life. But real life waited back in Denver. My parents would need time, maybe years. Beckett's dad would struggle with the news. Society still threw its quiet judgments. Yet standing on that mountain with him, I knew we had already survived the hardest part, admitting it to each other. The rest was just details. Weeks turned into months, and our life together settled into something beautifully ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Beckett moved his graphic design work to a Denver studio so we could share an apartment overlooking the city lights. We cooked terrible dinners, argued over whose turn it was to do laundry, and took weekend drives back to the mountains where it all began. My parents eventually came around after a tense Christmas visit, my mom hugging Beckett a little too tightly and whispering that she just wanted me happy. His family was slower, but his sister became our biggest cheerleader, sending us ridiculous couple memes every week. The internal storms quieted too. I no longer carried the weight of secret longing. Instead, I carried the certainty of being loved exactly as I was. Beckett still had moments of doubt when old friends raised eyebrows or when a client made a casual remark, but we faced them side by side, stronger for having chosen each other on that frozen lift. One crisp fall evening we drove back to the resort, riding the same lift in daylight this time. Halfway up, he turned to me with that same easy smile. "Best wrong turn of my life," he said. I laughed and pulled him close, the Colorado sky stretching endless above us. Looking back, I realized getting stranded wasn't an accident. It was the universe's way of forcing 2 scared men to stop hiding. We grew up on that cable car, learned what real courage looked like, and walked away changed. Love like ours doesn't come with guarantees, but it does come with the promise that choosing honesty is always worth the risk. True or false? Sometimes the only way to find the person you're meant to love is by taking the wrong turn on purpose.